Last Friday, the US government did something extraordinary. It effectively forced one of America's leading artificial intelligence companies to withdraw its most advanced product from the market. Anthropic, the maker of the frontier AI model Mythos and its commercially available cousin Fable, have been given little warning and, according to reports, roughly 90 minutes to comply. If you missed the story, that's understandable. It unfolded in the shadow of the administration's retreat from the Iran war. But in the long run, this may prove more consequential, because the fight between Washington and Anthropic is not really about one company. It is the first visible battle over who governs artificial intelligence and whether that governance will happen through rules and institutions or improvisation and raw power. By now, it should be clear that AI is a general-purpose technology that will flow into everything human beings do, from business to government to personal life. And increasingly, it's clear that it may be as powerful as imagined. Senator Mark Warner recently recounted testimony from General Joshua Rudd, who heads both the National Security Agency and Cyber Command, that Anthropic's most advanced model, Mythos, was able to penetrate almost all of the government's classified systems, not in weeks or days, but in hours. The question now is not whether to regulate AI, but how. The Trump administration's approach has been deeply confusing. Over 2.5 weeks ago, President Trump signed an executive order establishing a voluntary review process for frontier AI models and giving agencies 60 days to design a framework for identifying systems that required heightened scrutiny. It pointed towards something sensible: structured oversight, advanced testing, clear thresholds. But before that process had even been created, the Pentagon had declared Anthropic a supply chain risk, and the Trump administration at one point directed federal departments to stop using its systems. The administration's concerns are not frivolous. Anthropic appears to have made real mistakes. A Washington Post report suggested that it expanded access to Mythos beyond what officials believed had been approved and moved too slowly in responding to concerns about who was being allowed to use it. Intelligence agencies reportedly favored a tougher approach. But that is precisely why process matters. When a technology becomes this consequential, decisions cannot be made ad hoc by whatever faction wins a weekend bureaucratic battle, which might then get reversed the next weekend. In its 90-minute demand to Anthropic last week that effectively forced the company to take its new model offline, America was telling partners around the world, if your economy becomes dependent on American AI infrastructure, Washington can arbitrarily and without warning or explanation use its on-off switch. Unfortunately, personalized, arbitrary, and unpredictable regulation seem to define this administration's approach to business. Rather than doing even industrial policy by setting out rules and criteria that all can play by, it simply jumps in to take a stake in Intel, forces NVIDIA to pay it a special tax, takes a golden share in U.S. Steel, often with unclear legal basis for its actions. On other cases, its actions seem tied to connections and investments made by the friends and family of the president. This is no way to run the world's most advanced capitalist country. There is plainly bad blood between the Trump administration and Anthropic. In the initial fight between the company and the Pentagon, Pete Hegseth accused Anthropic of betrayal and duplicity. Senior administration officials have repeatedly criticized the company, saying it was woke and hired too many Democrats. President Trump has publicly mocked the company. AI is too important for this kind of score settling. There's a better way forward, one rooted in an American invention that has worked extraordinarily well. Banks became crucial to the capitalist system, providing capital which was the lifeline of the American economy. But banking is prone to crises which have huge consequences. So, the United States created institutions. The Federal Reserve remains one of America's greatest institutional inventions because it combines public authority with private expertise. It communicates constantly with markets while preserving independence. It conducts examinations, runs stress tests, establishes capital requirements, publishes guidance, and intervenes in graduated steps. Most importantly, the rules apply broadly and consistently. This is roughly what advanced AI needs. We should create a Fed for AI, an independent institution staffed by experts in technology, national security, and business. It would require frontier developers to provide pre-release access for evaluation, establish transparent thresholds for dangerous capabilities, build a ladder of responses, warnings, remediation, conditional deployment, restrictions, rather than abrupt bans, and make those rules apply equally to everyone. America should build such a system. Europe and Japan could create parallel institutions. Democracies must coordinate standards just as central banks do coordinate for financial stability. This is not an argument for slowing innovation. America's banks have dominated the world because they are well regulated, not despite that fact. But speed without institutions is not dynamism, it's dangerous volatility. AI will become the most important technology of our age. It deserves regulation that is intelligent, transparent, flexible, and consistent, not personal, punitive, or improvised. The challenge is not choosing between innovation and oversight. We've shown that we can build institutions capable of preserving both.